the governor's executive order relating to COVID-19. We have arranged a live stream of tonight's meeting at cedarlake.org/view-town-meeting/. You must join the meeting through the link to participate during public comments. If you have a question or comment about an item on the agenda, please email jill.muir@cedarlakein.org by 4 p.m. Mrs. Muir will ensure that all submissions are shared and submission entered into the minutes of the meeting. Please keep your comments civil and constructive to the public policy issues. If we could stand for the pledge and also a moment of silence. Bob, could you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, with justice and liberty for all. Excuse me.
Thank you, everyone. Jen, if we could have roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Here.
John Foreman,
Present.
Julie Rivera, here. Ralph Miller,
Present.
Randy Niemeyer,
Present.
Colleen Scheeben, here. Richard Sharp,
Here.
I am present. Jill Murr, present. David Austin.
Present.
Thank you, Jennifer. Special public meeting resolution number 1264, COVID-19 payment plan. Jennifer, if you could read by title only.
Resolution number 1264, a resolution of the Municipal Utility Board of the Town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, for temporary authorization for repayment plans for town municipal utility accounts and all matters related thereto. Board members, this resolution is formalizing all the discussion and direction given at the last utility meeting. If you'll all remember, I presented to you a COVID-19 payment plan for utility customers. Really simple. It's laid out within the resolution. Payment plan options for customers that are a little bit behind because of COVID. This would help them, make catch-up payments and avoid further penalties. So this resolution is just moving forward with the paperwork.
Very good. Thank you, Jennifer. Jill?
Utility board also on section 3, the enrollment period, the date we were going to fill in there would be October 12th of 2020.
That's okay.
That is consistent with the IURC's order.
Okay, per IURC. Very good. Thank you. We've had the reading and explanation for resolution 1264. If we could have a motion to approve this resolution.
Or against.
Or
Motion to approve. Second.
who made the first motion? I'm sorry.
Julie did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
First motion, motion by Julie, second by
John.
John.
Comments, Mr. Chairman?
Comments?
I think we need to talk a little about the terms in this. The length of the payment plan will be as follows. If the past due balance is less than $150, then a payment plan will not be allowed. If the past due balance is between $150 and $500, then a payment plan can be made for up to 6 months. If the past due balance is more than $500, then a payment plan can be made for up to 12 months. A 10% down payment must be made on past due balance as well as receipt of the signed agreement before the payment plan begins. A customer is not eligible if the customer is tampered with any water meter at the property subject to the payment plan. The customer has had any returned payments for NSF within the last 6 months. Non-sufficient funds, the total past due balance is less than 150. So those are some of the highlights of the policy. Jennifer, will that be posted on the town's website so people can easily access that policy?
We can absolutely make it available. I've also directed my staff that any inquiries, we have a separate page that lays everything out that customers do receive a copy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. We have a motion and a second. Jennifer, roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes. The motion or the resolution passes 7-0. That concludes the special meeting for September 1st, 2020. Our next meeting, Tuesday, September 15th, 2020, at 6:30 PM. Council.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay, this is the town council public meeting for September 1, 2020. Rick already read the disclaimer. We already did the pledge and moment of silence. We'll have a roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Here,
John Foreman,
here,
Ralph Miller,
Present.
Colleen Scheeben,
Here.
Richard Sharp,
Here.
Julie Rivera,
Here.
Randy Niemeyer.
Present.
I am present. Jill Murr,
Present.
David Austin.
Present.
We have a quorum. Let the record show Colleen Scheibel is not here. The spelling is wrong. We'll go to public comment on agenda items. Is there public comment on agenda items? Any public comment? Third call for public comment. Public comment is closed. We have a public hearing for the Hanover Community School Corporation voluntary annexation. Attorney review of legals.
Legals are in order.
Reading.
Hearing may be conducted.
Okay, thank you. Reading of ordinance 1359, voluntary annexation. Ms. Rivera, by its title, please.
Ordinance number 1359, an ordinance annexing certain contiguous land to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
the reading of that ordinance is all you need to do tonight. Public hearing will focus now on the fiscal plan and policy with resolution to consider it.
Thank you. You've heard a reading of ordinance 1359. Next is a reading of resolution 1265. Ms. Rivera, by its title, please.
Resolution 1265, a resolution of the Cedar Lake Town Council to approve a fiscal plan and policy for proposed voluntary annexation of scarce real property to the town of Cedar Lake, Lake County, Indiana, and all matters related thereto.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of resolution 1265. Are there remonstrators?
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
may I suggest that you offer the school corporation representatives a brief time to make an explanation here of their proposal.
Sure.
They're here to do that.
Mr. Otis?
Thank you. Scott as well on this. Thank you. Good evening. Nick Otis again back for the Hanover School Corporation. This is approximately 22 acres that the school is seeking to annex adjacent to the middle school property. I do want to bring up a couple things to bring this all together. I'm sure you all know the school went through a referendum this past year, successful referendum. But a year before that, the school went through a referendum and it did not pass. They lost by under 100 votes. As a result of the failed referendum, the school had to lease 2 portable classrooms. And nobody likes portable classrooms except for portable classroom companies, because the school then had to pay $600,000 for a 3-year lease for those 2 portable classrooms. The middle school, it has a capacity of 750 students. It is at over 800 students right now. It is growing rapidly. And so this is really important for what we're going to present here to you tonight. I also wanted to point something out, since you were all taxpayers into the school system. There's a $75 million referendum. The projected bond interest rate was 4%. The bond sold for 1.85%. It's a huge tax savings. The school informed all of the taxpayers that you'd be paying 18.95 cents per $100 of net assessed value. We anticipate it's going to be 2 to 3 cents per $100 net assessed value. So a huge savings. I went to a meeting for another school corporation that we represented when there was a referendum, and a farmer got up and said, well, the school was good enough for me when I went there. Why do we have to do a referendum? Why do we have to make improvements? Well, we have school board members here tonight, and what I can tell you is that if you don't have good facilities now, your students will leave. It's open enrollment now, so kids can go wherever they want, and that money follows them, $5,703. So those kids can go to Crown Point, they can go to Lake Central, they can go Highland, Lowell, and so you don't necessarily need the absolute best facilities, but you certainly need great facilities. And so Scott's going to touch on that a little bit about the entire middle school campus and what's planned there. So thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Otis.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the council. I have a handout that you can follow along with as I go. Maybe you can take one and pass it down.
For the record, presenting is Scott Cherry from Skillman.
Thank you. I am the construction manager on the project, working for the Hanover Community School Corporation. The project, or the land in question, is about the south half of the parcel of land where the existing middle school sits. The proposed plan includes a new upper elementary school. It'll be around 110,000 square feet, consisting of all the elements of an elementary school. There'll be some site work and some parking out along with it. And that's located in the eastern portion of that south half. Off of 41, the western portion, and primarily the annexed area, consists of a new resource center, maintenance building and bus barn, that will also include parking for buses and the workers. And new resource center includes things like an administrative center, food service, and other things that the school will use. Those buildings are different sizes, and if you look on the 11 by 8.5 by 11 sheet, that includes the description of the work. It says, Nick mentioned earlier, the $79 million bond issue. We're looking at the upper elementary school new resource center, around $33,700,000. The middle school, we will be touching the existing middle school, adding those elements that are listed, the choral and band, more classroom additions, and PE, about $6.3 million in construction costs there. At the high school, we're in the planning stages now. About $17 million worth of work consisting of updated and modernizing the classrooms. We're looking at new science rooms, large group renovation, new community and locker building in the back, and of course, band room expansion and centralized office area security to be upgraded. So there'll also be some site work looking at the fields, additional parking, infrastructure. New early childhood center addition will also be included. So that totals about $63 million in construction costs, throwing the soft costs to $79 million that Nick mentioned. Schedule-wise, tomorrow I will be presenting to the Plan Commission the concept, and then on September 11th, we will do the formal application of the Plan Commission and start that permit process. So if all goes well, we hope to get approval from the Plan Commission in their October meeting. And then we'll also be shortly thereafter looking down the road, looking at coming to the Plan Commission in November for the high school project. So be glad to answer any questions. We're looking at construction actually starting this spring or the next spring, 2021, with the high school, for the middle school. That's the project.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Cherry or Mr. Otis?
I just have one question pertaining to the 11 by 17 drawing, the administration center. Would that then incorporate what we presently have at the corner of 133rd Parish Avenue?
Yeah.
That's great news. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Austin?
I was unaware of the schedule proposed tonight by Mr. Cherry to you. This was the public hearing on the fiscal plan. Fiscal plan statutorily is comprised of identification of the provision of necessary and essential services to the subject property upon annexation. In this case, it's a voluntary annexation, so they're making the application, unlike our recent involuntary annexation, which asked people to accept what was being proposed. Until the annexation here is complete, the Plan Commission does not have jurisdiction over approvals for the land use plan. I understood that there was going to be a presentation at the Plan Commission work study tomorrow night, introduction and preparation for the activities to come. But two different things are going on here in terms of public record. The hearing tonight is about fiscal plan. I will explain that here in a second. And the second is as part of the presentation, the planning process under town rules, regulations, ordinances, and requirements. You know, what my legal position is about that. With regard to the fiscal plan, we've done this before with the school corporation. This is drafted in similar fashion and with similar content. The non-capital services will be provided. The town recognizes and identifies what those are. We're talking about fire, the various services that every citizen in our community gets. And then the capital services, if you will, which are the major infrastructure and related type improvements required. They're coming to the Plan Commission. It was not a concern at all as I drafted what they were proposing, because they're going to build the school according to specs, requirements, and regulations. They're also going to get approval ultimately from the Plan Commission on this project. So those items are the wheelhouse of the school corporation as they work through the planning process with our planning commission.
When will this annexation be official?
Should be done in November.
What date in November?
No. I'll give you a schedule.
I can't remember right offhand.
I can give you a date, November 12th.
So looking at the schedule that Mr. Cherry handed us, some of those dates might not match up. Now I did have discussion with Commissioner Tippy, Lake County, as well as school board member Cowder and the financial director, Adam Mint, about the county offering the opportunity to submit an application for a waiver of some sort. It's kind of a one-time deal. So that option was on the table. I don't know if anybody's pursued that or not, but they were going to have to go to the county and fill out that application, whoever the school board or the school representative would be to do that. There was quite a bit of political wrangling that went on about that. And Commissioner Tippy was able to kind of step in and go with the common sense. So I don't know if that's something you're going to do or not, but I don't know if this timeline would meet that annexation.
We're awfully close. I mean, when we're talking adoptive reading of the annexation ordinance, October 6th, 30-day time period elapsing for any rights of citizens and the public. We're actually right now talking about 8 weeks, 9 weeks max.
So a plan commission work session is non-binding discussion stuff.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the plan commission public meeting on the 21st of October might really be the only question mark in there.
I think so. Again, I want to make sure we're clear on the record. So we're going down the same calendar. I thought we were. Probably should have.
November 18th.
Yeah, it's on here, November 18th. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention, you guys, that there was discussion between the town and the county that there was something we could work together on. And if you wanted to pursue that, obviously you'd have to pursue that with Lake County to make that happen. And then we would have to.
Do that.
Right.
If it falls in the context of site.
If you have the appetite for that, then
Otherwise,
So close to the way we looked at it.
Sure. Okay.
Starting in the spring, maybe earlier we could do a presentation. There's a possibility of trying to start some site work
Yeah.
So that
I would
work
agree with
session
you.
could go on as planned.
Absolutely.
Good. And
Yeah,
then that
it's
at least
strictly
gets
that.
up,
It's just the work session.
that at least gets the ball rolling, gets information in people's hands, gets some
Yeah.
momentum going. Okay. Mr. Cherry, do you have anything else? Any other questions by council, staff?
No, I'll reserve most of my comments for tomorrow night. What we're talking about tonight looks good.
Thank you very much for the update and presentation. Very excited to hear about the financial news. That is
Yeah,
indeed
that's
great news.
That is
That's awesome.
unbelievable.
That's incredible.
And good work
Yeah,
by
it's
the whole
perfect
team.
timing, actually. Perfect timing. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is going to be an excellent project, and I'm kind of sad my kids will be gone from Hanover by
You can
that
have
time.
more kids, man. It's okay.
No. You don't understand. I can't.
But I just want to tell the school board members that when I first sat on the plan commission, we always talked about the non-football side of Cedar Lake. I think we all know that we have a pretty doggone good football program going over there.
Yeah.
So it's great to see you guys here in the public meeting.
Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about re-enrolling and trying high school again.
You're still well past.
All right, thank you. Any remonstrators? Are there any remonstrators? Any remonstrators? No remonstrators? Any town council discussion?
It looks pretty incredible.
Okay, town council decision on resolution 1265 fiscal plan and policy for annexation. What's the pleasure of the council?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Hanover Central School Corp voluntary annexation.
Thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Foreman, a second by Ms. Rivera.
That was Colleen.
Colleen, I'm sorry. Second by Ms. Sheehan.
I'll add fiscal plan to my motion.
Concur, Colleen?
Yes.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any question or discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Move along. Look forward to the next steps. Next, we have our consent agenda. We are scratching the minutes. The minutes were not prepared. Number 2 is claims. All town funds, $157,803.07. Wastewater operating, $68,527.92. Water utility, $73,152.24. Stormwater, $44,627.31. And payroll for August 20 and September 1 of $203,003.70. We have a town grounds usage request and fee waiver for Bethel Church, 9/13 of 20. Clubhouse usage and request and fee waiver for Cub Scout Pack 129. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda as listed?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sharp. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Questions or discussion?
Yes, I have several. First of all, the Cub Scout Pack, what are their hours that they're going to be there? It looks like they're going to be there 2 nights a month, but it didn't say what time. Does anybody know that?
Jill, do you have any idea?
I don't.
Okay.
It's traditionally about an hour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it can't be more than an hour and a half.
Usually in the evening.
Okay. Then on the claims, there may be more information than this, but it listed a 2020 Dodge Journey for $9,173.50. I went through those claims 2 times and I couldn't find any additional amounts of money. We surely aren't getting a Dodge Journey for $9,173.
We're getting half of them.
We only got half the car, Bob. It's actually a motorcycle.
Oh,
That's probably only from that fund that you saw, is my guess.
Yes, that's true.
I saw it.
Jen's a master negotiator.
I wish. Bob, if you look under the,
Packet.
in the claims sent out by my AP clerk, it'll say bank code 10, that is your wastewater operating. The very last line for wastewater operating, it'll show 630-001-445. That's where you'll find the other half of that claim.
Okay. Then, the micro back water testing, we did one for $223.75, one for $200, one for $44.75, and another for $44.75. What were those tests? Where were they done at? Was it in the water system? Was it in the town hall? Or I'm just interested in where those tests took place.
We'd have to pull the claims, but a couple of those I do know were some invoices from February that we did not receive timely. But we'd have to pull the claim for you. Each invoice would specify as to whether it was the east side, the west side, and whether it was coliform or something else. Mr. Kuiper would be your best bet if you want to get extremely specific on the locations.
All right, I'll check with him on that. All right, we had 3 PSAP claims in there, one for $27,634.82. Then there was another one for $8,869.38. Then another one for $1,092.71. And they referred to number 21. Is that a total amount of money that we're paying to Schererville for our PSAP?
I had to get a little creative this month because if you'll remember, our monthly invoice is around, whatever the 3 of those total, 37,000 and some, I can't remember off the top of my head. But when you total those 3 up, it's the entire amount of the invoice for the month. We pay for PSAP out of the Lowell Public Safety money we receive. And as you know, we get a very little amount of that. There's only so much appropriation. And then the remainder is paid out of the general fund. So you see that split up like that because that was the last bit of what appropriation we had left within the Lowell fund. And then the remainder was paid out of the general fund.
But that is for the monthly bill, right?
That's the monthly invoice we receive from them, yes.
All right, that's all I needed to know. Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call vote.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Ordinances and resolutions, item 1, ordinance 1362, salary ordinance amendment, planning and building secretary. Ms. Rivera, by its title only, please.
Ordinance number 1362, an ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1344, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the calendar year 2020, and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you. Ms. Murr?
Council, we are preparing and have advertised for the position of a part-time planning and building secretary. This position does have a job description, however, we haven't had it filled in several years, so it rolled off of our salary ordinance. The rate of pay is not to exceed $15 per hour, payable 25% out of the general fund, wastewater, water, and stormwater funds equally.
Thank you. Is there a motion by the council to approve the reading of ordinance 1362?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion?
I just have a question. Why would we not utilize all of the permits, building department to pay for the salary?
Because they're also reviewing utility funds, so this
Oh, I see.
also helps out your general fund. So each Each building permit traditionally has a portion of it that is wastewater, water,
If we
or
did
stormwater.
storm and building, would we cover it? And I'm thinking about going into next year, you know, I want to,
This is actually the same breakdown, 25% out of the general fund in each of the utilities that we currently pay our building administrator and our building coordinator.
I see. I'm just trying to preserve the general fund.
And that's
So
why
we
we're
can-
spreading it out
Yeah, I
a
understand.
quarter instead of 50% in the general fund.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Mr. Austin, is a 1 or 2? Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Allow for a second reading?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Sharp,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Rivera. Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Second reading of ordinance 1362. Ms. Rivera, by its title?
Ordinance number 1362, an ordinance amending town salary ordinance number 1344, establishing jobs and salaries to be paid certain offices, positions, and jobs within the town of Cedar Lake for the calendar year 2020, and repealing all ordinances or parts thereof in conflict therewith.
Thank you. Second reading of ordinance 1362. Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. New business is ambulance equipment. Ms. Murr?
Council, at your last meeting, while you authorized the purchase of ambulance equipment out of your CCD fund, you had requested a list of that equipment as well as the equipment we were going to trade in with an exact dollar amount. So in your meeting packet, beginning on page 18, this is for the 2 LifePak defibs and the applicable equipment that's needed to utilize those. That is the Lucas device, 1 Lucas device, 2 Power Pro cots. That we would be trading in. I'm sorry, and 1 power loader. Then the equipment we would be trading in a Stryker manual cot, a Stryker power cot, and 2 Zoll E-Series monitors for a total amount of $122,335.74.
Very good.
And would this be at the 0% for 3 years?
This would be the 0% for 36 months, and I would recommend your motion include authorizing the town council president and clerk treasurer to execute any of those financing documents that would be needed. This is one of the items we'll discuss at your council affairs meeting tomorrow as well.
Thank you. We have a recommendation from the town administrator on the purchase of ambulance equipment and the trading in of the old equipment, as well as the authorization of the execution of documents by the town council president and the clerk treasurer. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to that effect, approving that ambulance equipment and. having
Thank
the
you.
town
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Foreman.
second.
Who seconded it?
I did.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Neiman.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. How are we coming along on the ambulance bid and the reimbursement ordinance?
The ambulance bid specs have been vetted by staff, have been sent over to the town attorney and are being reviewed, so.
Okay,
Are we gonna be able to get them sent out, do you think, in the next few days so we can
No,
make a move on it?
no, I just got them
Oh, I
done
see.
yesterday. I have not even looked at them, given the, the time I got it in.
Gotcha.
We can't meet the notice requirements for your September 15th meeting. We've got a meeting after that.
Okay,
We will meet that deadline.
gotcha.
what about the reimbursement ordinance
We're
on
meeting on
fire
Thursday.
reimbursement?
Thursday to review the draft
Okay,
that we had done.
Dave, can you tell me what your review is going to entail? Specs, I mean.
Accuracy, legality, correctness for the notice to bidders.
Thank you. Item 2 is Monastery Woods South Subdivision Improvements Project Award. Ms. Murr?
Council, last year, October, we drew on the Monastery Woods South letter of credit in the amount of $130,172.97. We had put the project out for a quote as we anticipated it, or for bid, actually, we anticipated it. Those came back with 2 project bidders, Reith Riley Construction with a bid of $148,870.50, and Walsh and Kelly with a bid of $107,223. It's recommended to award this project to Walsh and Kelly. This has been reviewed by your engineer, your town attorney, and staff.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Carnahan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Is there questions or discussion? Question, how much was the maintenance bond again?
We drew $130,172.97.
Good. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Roll call?
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Reports, Town Council.
I'd just like to report that the sediment depth sampling for the eco restoration started in 3rd week August and should be finished up, I think, about now. The fish survey is underway and preliminary results are provided to the environmental technical teams. The report for that's supposed to be in a few weeks. Bathymetric survey is underway, as well as results to be to the team the 1st week of September. Then the first step on the site will be to start looking at the wetland water delineation of the selected site at the end of the growing season. So I just want to kind of keep the public aware of what's happening with the eco restoration and the lake. Thank you.
Good, John. That came from Christopher B. Burke's report.
That's right, Bob. That's good.
Bob, any reports?
The only one I have is that we went to the farmer's market. We had a census table. We had somebody from the United States Census there. Indy Gonzales, Keith or Kevin Toth, and we worked a period of time, and it was a waste of time to be out there because some people didn't want to even hear us. We were just asking them if they did the census, and just about everybody said they did it. And we just can't seem to get our numbers up. We're at 75.7, and all the surrounding communities are higher than us. And I had a meeting with Jill and Sarah, and we kind of discussed the signs, and we thought we were going to go into October, but now the administration has changed it to the end of September. And so we're not going to go with signs. Indy Gonzales is out there passing out flyers at Strax and True Value and Casey's. So hopefully we can get this thing geared up. Jill indicated that St. John is the highest, and they probably all do this stuff with their phones, and that's probably why they're the highest in the state of Indiana. But I keep trying.
Thanks, Bob. You're doing great work.
If you look at the numbers on the census, those filling them out online, I mean, you're at 90% when you look at totals for most communities that are doing the work online. One of the things we did find out though, Bob, that you didn't report on was the fact that if you have a summer home, this is your second home here, still fill out the census, then we get the count on it. Put in 0, but fill it out. So that information was also shared
Well, that
on
makes sense.
our
That's why we
Facebook
love it.
page. So that will help our response rate. So if you have multiple homes, you know, and I guess one of the things we run into too is if I have a summer home, I'm not going to fill out the census because I'm not living here. we need you to fill it out. That helps our response rate. We've been communicating this. One of the things we did was kind of post it as a contest of where we are percentage wise. So help our percentages, even if you're a 0 resident, still get the count in for the address. That helps us keep that address list accurate as well.
Any other council reports? I have one. Last week, myself and Ms. Rivera met with Kevin Toth, the Hanover Township trustee, the Hanover Township Board President, Rich Niemeyer, and Councilman Mike Schilling from St. John to discuss the possibility of a fire territory partnership with St. John, Cedar Lake, and Hanover Township. It was a positive discussion. There's obviously a lot of questions to answer. Kevin has reached out to Baker Tilly and Paige Sansone, who's probably the state's leading financial authority on fire territories, to put together an initial scope of a financial engagement for the 3 entities to do some of our analysis and study work that has to be done as far as the impact on the general fund of each entity, the impact on the businesses, the homeowners, and all of those things. Some initial budget discussions was looking somewhere at a budget that would fund 3 stations, so 1 in St. John, 1 in Cedar Lake, and 1 in the unincorporated area of Hanover Township, somewhere out west on 109th. So those were positive discussions, good ideas exchanged, and we will be awaiting the engagement from Baker Tilly, and it should be on the council's next agenda to consider for an engagement. It shouldn't be a very expensive venture. A few $1,000s was the initial estimate for all 3 communities. So we should be able to get our numbers together and start really discussing how a territory would look. But Mike Schilling was very positive on it, looking at sustainability for the town of St. John, but the area in general. So it was productive. Julie, any comments on it?
No, just that we all agree that to just sustain what we have and also help with the response times, we need to do something. I think it was a positive meeting, and we just have to keep the discussion, keep the momentum up.
Good. Sounds great.
And then will we have to try and get this on the agenda before March?
It just depends how the timeline comes together, Bob. If all parties in there move in at a steady pace, I know that St. John will probably want to have some public forums on it. I think we'll want to have some here, and Hanover Township's definitely going to want some public communication to look at it. So it just depends on how quickly the parties can get together, how hard people are willing to work on it. It could be on the agenda for January for a March deadline, but it could also extend into the following year. So we'll just see how everybody wants to work at it.
Okay, thank you.
Town attorney,
No reports.
clerk treasurer.
Budget. Continuing with the budget.
We have a council affairs committee meeting scheduled for tomorrow afternoon with representative from O.W. Crone and Associates to get the council involved in that process. And we're working on scheduling a budget workshop as well.
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Town administrator.
Your community crossing matching grant hot in place asphalt project will begin after Labor Day. One of the things Gallagher, who will be doing that project, is looking at doing is possibly doing a promotion video show, so to say, of the project. So it would showcase Cedar Lake. If you guys were good with that, they did something similar in Indianapolis. So others who are looking to do this program, look at the cost savings of doing the hot in place project. They do some promo work, so it promotes not only what they're doing, but it promotes our community and shows the cost savings of the project. If you guys are good with doing that.
Show how cheap we are. Is that what you're saying? I think it's fine with me. I'm good with it.
We have a nice long stretch there along Morse too. You know, it's not a small stretch, so people can come and see the process.
The way I look at that is that these are public thoroughfares. Anybody can videotape or do whatever
Yeah,
they want.
it doesn't bother me one iota.
So it also helps promote Cedar Lake and what we're doing in there. As reported, the council affairs meeting tomorrow. JMOB, the Joint Management Oversight Board, I'm working with Craig Hendricks right now on coordinating some dates to try and get that meeting going as well as the joint council meeting. And chiming into the Christopher Burke report, 133rd Avenue Phase 2 has finally approved the final pay estimates, and closeout was sent down to Indianapolis. We're anticipating money coming back to us in the ballpark area of $25,000 on that project.
That's good.
So while it will be 30 to 60 days out, see a little bit come back, and that project will finally close out and that purchase order will close. We haven't heard anything on the second round of community crossing yet, but we're only into September 1st. And as far as stormwater goes, working on various projects as well as policies for some of our old subdivisions.
I have a couple questions for you. With the hot in place we had discussed, it was discussed at the redevelopment commission and here about locally funding a walking and a pedestrian trail along Morse. Is that something we've made some progress on from an engineering standpoint, right-of-way acquisition, et cetera?
So that was given Christopher Burke a $2,500 not to exceed amount to come up with a proposed plan. We're not able to do it in conjunction with this project because we can't move the crown of the road or anything like that. We have to
ADA,
look at
there's a bunch of
at
things within that.
ADA storm drainage. So that's being worked on. As we know, we're busy with many projects. So I would anticipate a report coming back to the redevelopment commission soon.
Okay, so I want to make sure it stays on the front burner.
Yeah.
Bartlett
That
Wall.
it is mentioned in the Christopher Burke report.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Bartlett Wahlberg Park.
So we reached out to Polygon, a company that does shelters. Sarah, my assistant, and myself will be meeting tomorrow to look at that, look at some of the other items that will be needed to add to that. Once we have all those little pieces together, we'll bring that back to the park committee for discussion and ultimately back to you for that. So we have some preliminary costs with some ideas that we had vetted at that park committee meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Police Department. I'm sorry, Director of Operations. We have to go to you first.
I don't know if we can, at the utility board meeting, establishing the sprinkler ordinance. I don't know if there's anything we can do to get that going and, start actually implementing it while the ordinance is being finished up, or just in recent days, I mean, in this last month's been extremely dry, water usage is high, surrounding communities are having problems with water production. As of now, we're good. I mean, we're not having any issues with water, but the demands are high.
Can't we make a phone, can't we take action tonight, Mr. Chairman, and make a phone call asking people to please do this, even though it's not law? And then as we work on an ordinance, we work in parallel. I think 80% of the people
Do
will
we have enough
assume,
people to make calls?
no, we have that automated call.
There's
system.
code red.
Okay.
And then the people say, dear resident, would you kindly
So I have a
please
question about
not
it,
water
about
on
the
my-
ordinance. So even the private wells in Cedar Lake probably draw off the same aquifers as our public wells?
No.
Not really.
No?
The way that, our public wells are probably 350 to 450,
What are most of the private wells at?
110.
175 is the deepest.
way higher, but again, just.
So this would just be for the 2,200 and some change water customers that are on the water utility right now.
Correct, and this for you guys is, at Robin's Nest, we have 60,000 gallons of storage at Robin's Nest water system, and our average daily use for August, 110,000 gallons.
Oh, yeah.
Peak days reaching 148,000. So that's 2.5 times of our storage amount that we're using to pay for peak days for a lot of water. West side, our storage between Haydenwood and the water tower is 318,000 gallons. Average daily use for the month of August, 750,000 gallons a day. Peak days reaching over 1 million.
Mr. Austin, what information would you need to draft an ordinance?
Whatever the sprinkling ban, use restriction components are that staff consultants deem appropriate.
Is that something you would have some parameters for, Tim, that you could get to Dave so he could start
Yeah,
drafting?
I kind of thought at the utility board, we discussed Monday, Wednesday, Friday, even address.
We did. Yeah.
Mhm.
That was pretty much the grant. You have 3 days, each odd and evens have 3 days. It's simple as that. Just try
Staff,
to split up
staff
the
sends
days.
me a recommendation, I'll draft it.
Jill, could you memorialize this and send that over to Dave so he can begin drafting for council consideration?
I could.
Thank
Would
you.
council consider adopting the policy this evening? On a Monday, Wednesday, Friday?
Well, we
Monday,
have no
Wednesday,
ordinance, so we
Friday,
can't make it official, but what we can
But
do
the
is we
policy?
can approve making the code resident, would you
It's
kindly?
a policy
refrain?
directive at that point
Yes.
without the ordinance, so.
Monday,
Um,
Wednesday, Friday for even, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for odd.
That's the address numbers.
If your address ends in an even or odd
Yeah, because it needs to
number.
happen now, because
There's other communities
month
that
it'll
are
be
having sprinkler
pointless.
bans and also not having anyone install new landscape or lawns right now because of the sprinkler ban.
So I would entertain a motion for two things. One would be to amend the agenda. Secondly, would be to
or you could appoint it to be on the agenda.
to consider the
Policy.
policy of the even addresses of Monday, Wednesday, Friday for sprinkling, odd addresses of Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So whoever makes the motion will be making the motion to both amend the agenda and consider that policy directive. Is there a motion?
I'd be happy to make a motion to amend the agenda to consider a water policy where we would, and then I would like to make a motion that we consider this policy so that even addresses would water on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, odd addresses would water on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday per the utility board meeting and
No water
direct-
on Sunday.
and no watering on Sunday.
Motion by Mr. Foreman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Sharp. Questions or discussion?
Mr. President, we're gonna put this in an ordinance though, that will have a structure so that we can enforce it on the law
Yeah.
enforcement side.
Yeah, we're only making this action tonight, Bill, so we can get the ball rolling.
Okay.
There's no teeth in it, truthfully, until we have finished. ordinance.
I respect that. This is police enforcement, this is utility enforcement. So, yeah, but then who's gonna enforce the ban when somebody's watering when they're not supposed to? Because they're gonna call us.
Ultimately, it'll come to the utility board and they will direct traffic on either an injunction or some demand notice.
That's what I assumed the code enforcement was for.
That's up to this council.
Yeah, the call is definitely gonna go to the police department once it's enforced.
Right.
And it's only gonna be, it's not gonna be permanent. It's only gonna be
Sure.
when we deem it necessary because of the drought.
Sure.
And we've certainly been in that drought, so.
It's
These,
good for our
this,
system to do, it's gonna be a good thing for our system to do. 50% of the people a day water. So
I see.
basically, we're using the water, but at a more steady, it helps.
So you prefer to ask people to abide by this, change their timers on their irrigation?
That's exactly how we're doing Monday.
Gotcha.
Friday.
Gotcha.
So if in fact, we're going to have police department or code enforcement citation authority here, you have a fine penalty schedule that you will seek to impose?
I think we'd have to look at what some other communities that have adopted this have done. I think we don't have to reinvent the wheel with this.
Yeah, I would
A
agree.
lot of water utilities are doing these things, so I don't think we need to make it overly difficult. Code enforcement makes some sense on this. But we also have to have a period of time where people can adjust to it,
I just wanted to say there's something going on.
Right, so I think that in drafting that ordinance, Dave, I don't know if the town of Cherville has something like this.
I've done this.
Okay, so I mean,
Every community is different.
I think we don't need to go overboard, but we need to have something in there that has some enforcement and some organizations.
Yeah, I see most people abiding by it and getting used to it as they figure out how to change their timers.
Well, they will.
And it'll just be a part of life. I think it'll be.
I'm not disagreeing with you,
Yeah.
sir, but
I'm
I
with you. You're gonna
guarantee,
get the
I
calls.
guarantee we're gonna get phone calls.
Why is my neighbor watering and I can't?
And I have the odd address and I'm watering today and so is my neighbor.
Right.
You
So
can
I
imagine-
I just asked that the ordinance, when it's drafted, has some teeth to it so that we can explain it to the citizens
Yeah, I'm with
when we do get the call that, hey, no,
Yeah,
we're not gonna find you right now, but if you continue to do this.
The
this is what
ultimate
could happen.
ordinance should have it in it.
Right.
We all agree. Some.
St. John just did one, and there's a lot of their residents grumbling about it.
I think people
Well,
will
we're in a
grumble for a
drought,
little
so-
while, but
Yeah.
they'll get used to it.
Yeah.
Water conservation is something nationwide that every community is working on because our water supplies are in some areas in peril.
And we can't draw from Lake Michigan. We're below the watershed. So
Right.
we have no choice.
Nope. And we can't buy from Cherville because we're not close enough. So
And why we're talking about this, Randy, you and I went over to Amy's house on 13816 Larman about the dust storm coming from Beacon East. And I guess they hooked up to one of our fire hydrants, and I was told that it had a water meter on, and they were trying to spray it down. And as you observed and I observed, they had dust everywhere all over their furnishings.
that's correct. I've sent emails, Bob, to Mr. Kubiak, Ms. Murr. They are addressing, and Michelle Baker, and they're addressing this with the developer, as you said, trying to mitigate some of that dust. Yeah, it was a mess. I felt really bad for the people.
It's a shame.
But I think everybody's trying to work together to solve the problem. And it sounds like, Tim, you got a water meter out there so they could load right out of the hydrant.
The very first day we received officer complaints, I mean, probably 20, I contacted Michael Diller at Sherwood Development. He called Iron Construction. They brought their water tanker out full of water before noon, at 10:30. We did get them water meter that afternoon hooked up, and we got calls there.
Yeah, at least we have good residents. Everyone's at home working, man. They're paying attention. You gotta love it.
But they do, I mean.
Yeah, but
I've been out there and the dust is, I mean, there's still definitely
still
dust.
some dust.
They're running their equipment through a mud path back and forth, which reduces the dust considerably. But it's by no means gone, but it's, now they're, putting in storm sewer and water and.
One of the problems that I observed was that the dirt pile where they were moving all their dirt to was closest to the residents on Birch and Lowerman rather than somewhere else on that property that would have been a little further away from some of the homes. So,
That's where the subdivision will end. It's probably why.
you know, it just,
Yeah.
it was a kind of a bad placement of a dirt pile.
Yeah.
So hopefully we
and
can
I could
work on
I
that.
couldn't believe that was going over into Cedar Lake Ministries too.
There's a lot of dust being kicked up on that project.
And unfortunately, the dry, I mean, obviously today that dust is gone, but even people mowing their grass, Pinecrest Marina with the gravel parking lot. I mean, a lot of places everywhere is just.
I was there right after a heavy rain and the dust was still going.
Well, that was. Today we got.
Might have helped a little bit, yeah.
It's, they're gonna be putting stone on their roads next week, which will be tremendously. in the future.
Good.
Earth moving
Is about complete.
Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Anything else, Director of Operations? Police Department?
I presented it to the Board of Safety on our last meeting. The police department would like to look into the possibility of building our own range. We're still looking at several sites. Also, Councilman Miller is looking into some issues within agreements between the town of Lowell and town of Cedar Lake for the range down in Lowell. but we can't use that one right now. So we have to travel to Hammond to do our qualifications, and we want to increase our officers training. So I'm just looking for the council to approve us to look into that, what costs might be, where we could locate it, and go from
What are some ideas of location?
all over. We're not, I'd like to keep it at that right now. We have a couple that we're looking at, but I don't want it to get out until we.
Is one of the areas possibly the flume?
Sure.
So it's town-owned property.
Yeah.
So one of the things you might have to look into with that is all of the adjacent properties are all unincorporated, so that would have to be at least considered by county.
Yeah, we're gonna research all of it, look at locations that are advantageous for us, as well as not going to bother with the public and have problems with them. So, but it's a necessary. We have to have it.
Is that
Unless
something?
Mr. Miller can come up with some documentation to help us out. So.
Is that something that would also offer some opportunities at training partnerships with other law enforcement entities?
Absolutely, we could probably get funds by partnering up. The problem that I run into is then you have multiple people working on that range, which will cause more days to be utilized, more people to complain, as well as sometimes when people use it, they don't really care about what they're shooting at. So it's gonna be for Cedar Lake as of right now. So that, and we'll require that a range master's out there the entire time, anytime any Cedar Lake employees out there qualifying or training. So we have 3 range masters on our department right now.
So I would offer an amendment to the agenda to ask for council support for continuing research on this item. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Did we finish the watering one?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did, Bob.
we did, Bob.
We voted on that?
No, there was nothing to vote on.
Oh, I thought we were voting on doing a temporary.
Yeah, I thought we voted.
Did
We not
Did
call
we vote?
I made a
Okay.
motion, somebody seconded
Sorry, we
it.
didn't. We need to go back. Roll call.
Yeah,
vote.
John Foreman made.
Yeah, we
the
never
motion,
voted.
Rick-
Motion by John, second by Rick.
Good catch, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Now, consider a motion to amend the agenda and offer direction to the police department to research the development of a shooting range for the Cedar Lake Police Department.
I, again, would like to make a motion to amend the agenda and make a motion to allow the police department to investigate the shooting range.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Foreman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Sheehan. Questions or discussion? Roll call.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller.
Yes.
Colleen Scheven.
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Julie Rivera.
Yes.
Randy Neemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 7-0.
That's it.
Anything else, chief?
No, sir.
Fire department,
But
thank you. Written communication, Christopher Burke report. Any other highlights from that? Thank you.
Pretty much covered it.
Public comments?
Mr. President, before we go to public comment, would the council consider amending the agenda and dealing with the piece drive access?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Can you present the item and then we'll consider the motions in concurrence?
The drive access agreement drafted and presented to you is related to enhance or improved access to property. I think it's 8025 Lakeshore Drive, owned by Mr. and Mrs. Papis. The legal access to the property is a very narrow 5-foot path. The town owns property that it acquired in the course of the development of the roundabout. And the drive access permits use by the property owner of 8025 Lakeshore Drive to their property in a more appropriate manner than the 5-foot by 60. I think it's 5 foot by 60.
Yeah, it was.
Length. This is subject of a plat a subdivision that the property owners came in and platted. They're going to rehab this property or rebuild it. And we have multi-generational access to the property.
Is there a motion by the council to amend the agenda and to consider the agreement for drive access for Mr. and Mrs. Pepys?
Based on this agreement for drive access, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda as well as make a favorable recommendation for the agreement for drive access for the property at 8025 Lakeshore Drive. And then just looking through some of the items that we have in here, recitals, description of agreement, purpose, limitation to describe purpose, non-assignment, payment, governing laws, indemnification of the town, insurance, permits, modifications, license agreements, as revocation. I would just like to say, I'd like to scratch from the record the item number 5. I feel this parcel is kind of useless to the town. So I don't think we need to go into, especially with multi-generational people going to be using this property. I don't think we need to go into making, payment for this agreement in any dollar amount. So I'd like to scratch item number 5 from those notes.
We have a motion by Mr. Foreman with an amendment to the agreement of eliminating item number 5 for payment. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Rivera. Questions or discussion? Mr. Austin, discussion?
No, John got it.
Okay, thank you.
The cost.
And this is to approve the drive
It is.
access. Okay. Except for number 5. All right.
That's
Roll
correct.
call vote.
Who made the second?
Julie did.
Sorry, I missed that. Robert Carnahan,
No.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
Yes.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
Richard Sharp.
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
Yes.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Now we'll go to public comment.
Although into the planning, has to be sought for after the second Truman and Marquette, the drainage problem there is on the site. I was hoping if you had time to look at it, if you could tell me what the timeline is, where it stands.
Tim, has that been discussed at Stormwater? Jill, Tim?
I
Truman?
can, that's part of street committee, so that's looking at our overall capital projects.
Right.
And Don has that project included as one of those items.
Yeah, so really, Mary Jo, the update is there is no final date or plan as of now, but we're getting closer on it.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that none of you understand.
Yeah, no,
I
it's,
just want to make sure that.
everybody's aware of it.
Any other public comment? We have a microphone up here? Okay,
Yeah,
very
the one
good.
gentleman.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes. I'm Greg Dykstra.
Where's the microphone at? Can you pick that up? Oh, it's broke? Okay. I was just trying to make sure people online could hear, but
Somebody
okay.
dropped the mic.
I can't hear anybody.
He doesn't have a
Sorry, Bob, the
microphone.
mic's not working at the podium, so hold on a second.
Hi, yes, I'm Brad Dykstra. I'm at 137 1 Lowerman. I was hoping to get this on the agenda tonight, but there was a failure of a family member getting it over in time. But I was asking if you would consider allowing me to do a small fireworks show on my residence and my neighbor's residence for a small wedding for 5 minutes on September 12th. I have the paperwork for the show filled out. I was just talking with the fire chief about the site map. This would be just Class C material, and the show would be at 9 o'clock from 9 to basically 9:05, and it would just be small firework cake boxes, consumer grade material. So you wouldn't need a Class B permit, and it would be on land, but right on the beachfront. So I had just talked with the fire chief about it, about the site map and what that would look like. I know there is some concerns with the dryness. We would have water cannons on site, and there also is garden hoses that are close by. Other than that,
And you are a professional, right?
yes, yes. I have done other shows in the area. We have a complete resume for the fire chief to look over. And
What
with
date's this, Mr. Dykstra?
This would be September 12th, Saturday at 9 o'clock. I put on the application from 9 to 9:15, considering if there's like a moment of, whether we're ready to go and the wedding's ready to go.
I just like the fact that this gentleman's actually asking for permission, and 99% of the people just do it,
Right.
and they're done before the calls go out, and
Yes.
please come, and so he's trying to follow.
Yeah, being in the
Informal, so I like
area
it.
and doing other shows legally, I wanted to go about it that way. They asked if I could just, it wouldn't be fine, it's only 5 minutes, but considering what the town and the relationship with some of the people here, I wouldn't want to go about it that way.
Yeah, we
So-
appreciate that.
Chief Wilkening, any comments?
Well, I think we set a precedence already with the last fireworks show that you approved
At the Legion.
How did that go?
at the Legion. It went fine. But we did have our crew down there for that. Also, this is in a residential area. It's not commercial, it's a business area like where it was shot off in the Legion, had a little bit more room. I'm not a fan of allowing people to do private fireworks shows, but this is Class C material, so it's no different than anybody going to the store, blowing off fireworks in their yard. It really isn't. So I'm not even sure we have jurisdiction to approve or not approve somebody to blow off fireworks, other than the fact that it's illegal to blow off fireworks right now. Period. So, this would have to be a policy call by you. I would certainly want to have to be there.
But I would agree with Todd. It's state law that has the jurisdiction. And so even us making the call on it,
Yeah.
It's very specifically defined in the law too.
Why, certain dates, Bill?
Oh, yes. And times.
And when we did the fireworks show for the Legion, it was outside that parameter too, so technically it was not legal.
And that's the permit.
So he does not need a state permit.
Not a state, but the town local
Right.
permit.
And what is the address that this will be at?
137 Lowerman.
That's the conference grounds. So it's on the conference ground property, and I asked him what does the conference ground board think of it. He said that they were reviewing it and supposed to get back to you. Right?
So this is behind which lot numbers?
The wedding is at this location here, and this is the access road. This is number 58.
58.
So there's two houses here. Yes.
Why do people have to have fireworks that way? I don't get
It's
it.
a celebration.
I understand that, but you know what? We have a fireworks show every year with the Summerfest, and they do it right. And
it's also an omen of
very
things to
dry
come.
right now.
Fireworks.
Pardon?
It's also kind of a omen of things to come.
Yeah.
True.
Yep,
This is a.
Many ways, Randy.
Yeah.
in more ways than one.
Again, it would be stuff.
Weddings.
Again, I like the fact that this
Weddings
guy's got a
easy
large
part.
cannon.
Like I said,
Asking, he's trying to do
Really,
it
we
right.
don't have jurisdiction.
Right, right.
That's exactly right. Type of terms they're using.
Wedding's easy, the marriage is work.
But the town does have the authority to enforce the law. And the law currently says that there is no fireworks. And it's defined specifically by the law, and the state law is what we follow, so. If the town would like to suspend, I don't know, the ordinance.
That's what a
or whatever,
permit's for.
Yeah.
You'd have to get a permit.
That's, the-
He's got the application for permit from us.
That's what they have to approve.
Would the council care to amend the agenda to allow for consideration and consider the application by Mr. Dykstra?
Does he need a permit with the fireworks that he's,
He has to have a permit because it's a special event, because it actually,
It's
he's not
outside
allowed
of
to
the
legally shoot fireworks off
Allowable
right now.
dates.
I was
Yeah.
Is there a
just trying to
motion by
make
the
it
council to amend the agenda and consider the request by Mr. Dykstra?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Ms. Sheben, is that to approve the
It is
request
to
or
approve.
deny? Approve. Motion by Ms. Sheben, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Miller. Questions or discussion? The only thing I would say for the record is, even if this is approved, I'm not sure that we really have jurisdiction over this date, just because it doesn't fall within the state's allowable dates for fireworks. So
Yeah.
even if we approve it, it doesn't mean that the state can't come down on you.
Correct. Generally, the state would not come down. It would be the local authorities.
Correct, but the state law is what creates the local authorities' laws. So they enable our laws to exist. And our laws basically mirror the state law as it relates to the dates. So we have some jurisdiction, but not all of the jurisdiction.
Yeah, and again, since it's in the conference grounds and he's trying to go through the proper channels, you know, it's quite amazing. is what I say.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Can I comment one more time?
Yeah.
I'm not allowing this to happen. I think there's a liability issue. It's in a residential area. And I just wanted to go on record by saying that this is not something that I think the town should approve.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, John.
Any other questions or discussion on the motion? Roll call vote?
Robert Carnahan,
No.
John Foreman,
Yes.
Ralph Miller,
No.
Colleen Scheeben,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes.
Julie Rivera,
No.
Randy Niemeyer.
Yes. Motion carries 4-3.
Good to go. But we'll be there.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Dykstra.
can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
Are you providing any brush fire equipment?
Absolutely.
Okay,
We're there to protect the subdivision or any structures.
I will be in contact with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do that. Thank you.
Appreciate it, everybody. It says within the permit application, I needed to pay money.
You can come Monday. Don't bring cash out Wednesday.
We don't accept cash or checks up here, just for your information.
Well, I should give that.
Contrary to popular belief. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Oh, I love it. Good stuff.
Any other public comment? Is there any other public comment? A third call for public comment. Public comment is closed. Anything online, Jill?
No, they would have had to before, unless you have anything on Zoom.
I don't know where to look on here. Is there another page?
Well,
Nothing
in
on
fairness,
Zoom?
we have to look.
No,
Yeah,
we don't
okay,
have
thank
hands
you.
raised. We're good.
Our next council public meeting will be Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 7 PM. There will actually be a joint RDC, RDA, and town council meeting at 6 to consider the refunding of the bonds. And then a utility board meeting at 6:30 and council meeting at 7. This meeting's adjourned. Yes, ma'am.
Except for the. This was.
Take a picture of that.
This is just where they take like inch and a half off, redo it, and then redo it.
Why'd you like